And we are here with you again today. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to take a little break after today's show and be back with you probably Monday or Tuesday. I'm not quite clear yet who our guests are. But today our guest is none other than the great Tyrus. You know him from the Greg Gutfeld show and from pro wrestling. His book is selling extraordinarily briskly, and so I do recommend it. It's the story of Tyrus's life, and he has told some of these same stories right here. There it is, just Tyrus. And it's an interesting story. He's an interesting guy, a smart guy. He's always got a lot to say and a lot of interesting thoughts. So we look forward to bringing him on here. We are also set up at Twitter Spaces. I can never spit that name out quite right. And of course, I'm watching you all at Restream as well.
Be sure to subscribe for more live shows from Dr. Drew.
Where do they subscribe?
On Twitter, Twitch,
DrDrew.tv, is that a place?
Yeah, they're all at DrDrew.tv.
No, YouTube. Yeah, go to DrDrew.tv.
All right, let's get right to it.
Our laws as it pertains to substances are draconian and bizarre. The psychopaths start this way. He was an alcoholic because of social media and pornography, PTSD, love addiction, fentanyl and heroin, ridiculous.
I'm a doctor, for sake. Where the hell do you think I learned that?
I'm just saying, you go to treatment before you kill people. I am a clinician. I observe things about these chemicals. Let's just deal with what's real. We used to get these calls on Loveline all the time. Educate adolescents and to prevent and to treat. If you have trouble you can't stop and you want help stop it, I can help. I got a lot to say. I got a lot more to say.
And welcome, everybody. I'm already seeing there might be a little technical issue. Somebody's saying they can only follow us on Twitch. The subscribe button isn't working. I
YouTube.
Don't know where. We are also at Rumble. I'm watching the Rumble rant.
You can subscribe at Rumble.
Rumble rant. So I don't know quite what
you can go to
about.
Locals. You'll get a notification every time if you want to subscribe there. Hey, Drew.
Yes.
Is your Twitter Spaces unmuted?
It is.
Okay, good.
Yes, thank you for that. And that's where I'll be taking calls from. We're waiting for Tyrus. He's supposed to come in here any second. Sometimes literally weather is what gets to him. So the way to come up here to be to ask questions, just raise your hand. I will see it requested on the Twitter Spaces, and I will call you up. And by doing so, you are agreeing to stream out on multiple platforms: it'd be Rumble, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, wherever things. It's almost like a broadcast. We're out there in so many places. It says Twitch subscription requires you to be considered a Twitch affiliate. Oh, that's interesting.
What?
I don't know.
Yeah, we didn't
spend the morning.
Yeah, we didn't want to do that because then Twitch requires us to be exclusive only on Twitch, which no.
Do they still do that?
Yeah, they wouldn't make any exceptions.
That's so weird. But okay, so you don't go ahead and get notifications from YouTube or from Facebook or wherever else, and then just head over to Twitch or head over to Rumble, or go from Rumble and head over to Twitch, or go to, if you get notified on Rumble. Do you get notified on Rumble, Drew?
I don't know.
But well, anyways, follow us everywhere and then visit.
As we are rolling to a start
here. How come
here.
those lights just went on?
Somebody turned it on.
Oh, somebody's outside the door.
We are rolling to a start here. I also want to remind people that they can send us suggestions for guest topics at contact@drdrew.com. We look at those things, we take them seriously, and we are trying to morph and change. I mean, so much of this show was about COVID for so long. We were like, as I used to say all the time, we were like the French underground here. We were sort of broadcasting from out of our home, just trying to help people manage all the misinformation and craziness that was out there. There is still some stuff out there. As I say almost every day, follow Vinay Prasad to clarify some of this for you. But there's a lot of confusion about second boosters and about whether to get young children boosted. As always, I will tell you the basic information, which is that we know what we're doing over the age of about 75. We have the science to dictate exactly what our plans should be and what our intervention should be, what our vaccine intervention should be, and what our treatment should be. Under the age of 75, it gets a lot murkier. If you are, for instance, I was with Adam Carolla today. We were talking to some callers on our phone lines there. And I got a 53-year-old guy called in who'd had the complete mRNA series, had a booster, and just as he was getting the booster, he got Delta, and that was about 4 months ago. So he is vaccinated, boosted with hybrid immunity, and his question was, should I get the second booster? And the answer is no answer. The answer is we don't know. We don't have science to really guide us for especially that kind of a circumstance. People with native immunity, hybrid immunity, under the age of 60.
We don't know either. Like, I don't know, and that's my predicament.
It is.
I
your
had
predicament.
COVID, and I've been boosted.
You're right. It's precise.
I want to go to Portugal, and I don't know.
You're
if
a little, because you're not in your 50s. You're a little more towards maybe we do this. But what I've been telling people quite a bit often is, hey, there are 3 more vaccines coming. We have Covaxin, Novavax, and the intranasal vaccine coming. Give it a little time. See how those look, and if they are being approved as booster. And by the fall, we should have more clarity about, how to proceed. I do think people like me would probably get boosted. Would a 40-year-old get boosted who'd had native illness, hybrid immunity, been boosted? Far less clear. We also don't have any good data on when to use Paxlovid in those situations, though what most doctors are doing is waiting to see how the illness goes. In other words, if somebody gets really sick and they're 40 and they're hybrid immunity, but they're really getting sick, we probably would use it. There's not good science to substantiate that, but that's a situation where we'd fall back on the better part of valor. So a lot of what we're doing right now is nuanced and is not necessarily backed up by good science. What I have a problem with is there's no good science to immunize young children either. And yet it seems like there are relative mandates out there for school, for sports, for travel. The mandates really are problematic. I don't understand the logic behind the mandates. I don't understand what they're doing. I mean, I literally don't understand. I'm literally confused, which means that they're not showing their work. In other words, I can't see their logic. I don't know why they're doing this, because it doesn't make sense based on currently available wisdom. So that's that. Let me start taking some of your calls. Dan is first up here. Let's see what Dan wants to ask. Dan, where'd he go? Huh. It says there was an error in adding Dan. That was the first time we had that. So let's try that again. There you go.
I hear noise.
Yeah.
Doo-doo-doo.
There keeps being I'm sorry, Dan, there keeps being an error. Let's see if I can add David. David's no problem. We got David coming in here. All right, David, and be sure to unmute your mic as we come upon you. And it's taking longer for David to connect too. Caleb, do you think that's at our end? Do I need to?
I'm checking on it. It looks like it's a Twitter issue on their end, because it also shows that it's just connecting over here.
There he is. He's connecting. David, what's going on? Just takes a long time. David, what's up? Uh-oh. Oh, you're muted. You're muted. If you hit the mic in the lower left-hand corner, we will be able to talk to you. There you are. David, what's up?
Yeah, I'm in Ghana. But I enjoy your program a lot. I started listening a couple of minutes ago, but I was so confused about the type of boosters that we had. We had ones, and we're looking for the second dose. We never had it, and we don't know whether we should go for a different vaccine or not. We're so much confused.
So David, let me just tell you that you're a young man. I can see from your picture, and for young men, one vaccine. 35.
Which
vaccine are you getting? Which one did you get? Oh, now we lost him. There you are.
Sorry.
Which one did you get?
Johnson & Johnson.
Okay, so that one does not really have a booster, and you're a young man, and there's a lot of evidence that young men, when you give them further vaccine, that puts them at added risk. So there is a lot of question of whether young males should be boosted. Generally, I think you can talk to your doctor about this. I think generally somebody would give you a booster. I had the Johnson & Johnson vaccine as well, and so the question becomes, which booster should you get? And I'm leaning towards the newer, Covaxin or Novavax. I think that's probably the direction somebody would take you. Do you have that available where you are?
Sorry, but I didn't get you. I think I have a network connection problem.
Okay.
The line is poor.
Yes, I'm just gonna say it again. just through the OBS here.
Yeah, listen to it on the Twitter.
Which is that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine does not necessarily require a second vaccine, though some people are studying that. In young men, generally, one vaccine may be enough, even the mRNA vaccines. But as time goes on, that's not going to be a very efficacious vaccine unless you've had COVID and it's a hybrid immunity. So you are probably going to need a booster, which should get a booster, let's say. And you're going to, I have a feeling for Johnson & Johnson, we might be looking more at the Covaxin, Novavax, those sorts of vaccine once they become available. So that's kind of what I want you to kind of keep an eye out for. Samuel, we'll put him up here. Samuel, there you are. You're muted. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hey there.
Yeah. So my question is primarily about my young daughter. She's 5, and I live in California. So there's a lot of talk about those, mandates coming in, not this next school year, but possibly the school year after. I follow a lot of what Dr. Peter McCullough has been saying about it, and things like that. So I'm so confused on what to do with my kid.
I get it. It would be a very hard decision. 2 things I would do. One is make sure you have a pediatrician who's listening to you. Make the decision with the pediatrician, number 1. And then number 2, Peter McCullough is pretty extreme in his views. We interviewed him here along the way. Smart man. I value everyone that's out there that is sort of whatever their opinions are, to sort of keep everybody on their toes and everybody thinking. But you might look more at Vinay Prasad. Follow him. Look what he says about young boostering or young vaccination. 75% of the kids already have antibody or have been exposed. So it really is very. I wouldn't want to be the pediatrician making that decision. I feel like it's a tough decision. I suppose the way I would do it is if patients were super motivated and family was super motivated, I would do it. But if family was questioning whether they wanted to do it, I would sort of, I don't know. It would be a very hard thing to recommend. That's just my opinion. I'm not a pediatrician though, so I don't make those decisions. Thank goodness.
Right, and like part of it too is because we've gotten sick quite often ever since she started going back for in-person instruction. She's picking up all those germs. She has that like a little bit of immunity delayed. Her immune system needs to, kind of catch up with everything.
Yep.
And, just part of the issue is, we've gotten sick, not sure if it's COVID. We've taken the tests, but every time it's been negative, but then we've tested her like the day after she got sick because the school sent her home. Right. So I know like sometimes maybe it doesn't quite catch it because it hasn't, developed enough yet. So I don't even know if she's actually had COVID or not.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
well, the pediatrician can check that. So you might ask them to see if there are antibodies. That might make you feel
You have to
better.
give them a blood test.
Yeah, I know it's kind of a pain, but that's one way of doing it.
Kids love blood tests.
A patient and doctors need to be working together to make these decisions. I mean, that's the bottom line. The fact that it's mandated from on high is deeply concerning. I just am very, very concerned about that. And I would be very confused if I were in Samuel's position as well. So again, find a good physician that you can talk to.
I had a gallon of blood taken out of my arm today.
Good.
Yeah. She just kept going and going and going. I was so happy though, because I didn't have an appointment somehow. And I had to beg my way in.
I've been thinking,
you don't understand. I've been sick. I have to get my.
I've been thinking.
I'm flying.
I've been thinking you needed a bloodletting. That the evil humors were beginning to build up, and we needed to let them out. And a bloodletting would be a good way to do that. Nice. I like that. So, do you know that that is how George Washington died? He developed congestive heart failure and maybe pneumonia, and they treated him with
a bloodletting,
repeated bloodlettings to the point where he was profoundly anemic, and essentially killed him. I mean, it's interesting that I was thinking to myself, what it would do is put them into shock and cause their adrenal glands to push out cortisol, which might have an anti-inflammatory effect on the lungs. So it was not as though there's nothing to it, but it was the first case. You know what? So it was the first case of celebrity healthcare. They gave him special treatment and bled him out. So I've said this forever, that celebrities, when doctors get excited about taking care of someone and it's a special care they just are so excited to give them, The care is bad. I hadn't really thought about this. George Washington is case one that I know of. So let's get.
I had to use the art of persuasion to get in. They go, oh, you don't have an appointment. I was like, oh, okay. So I sit down. I'm looking for the paperwork from this appointment I set up. Oh my God, I can't find anything. What's wrong with me? I didn't get a QR code, I guess. And
the art of
this
persuasion.
Older gentleman, older, came in and he goes, my appointment's not in here. And I go, me too. Hey, what's wrong with your system? And then he goes, yeah. He goes, I came in yesterday and I couldn't get it because I wasn't fasting. And he goes, because I've taken my pill at 10 o'clock. And so I'm over here and I got to do it, but I got to take my pill at 10. This was like at 9 o'clock. And he was like telling me his whole history.
I love scaring non-medical people with, I have to take a pill at exactly.
So I went back up and I signed up, and then the woman said, well, just get on the wait list. And I go, okay. So I was like pushing the buttons and then they came out and I go, listen, I should have been on there. I got to do this now. And, and they said, okay, come in. And then this poor woman had to add stuff but they did a good job. Once I got in the door, they did a great job. I was really happy. So I should get the results back soon, Drew, so you can see if I'm dying.
I'll see if there are any. There's
going to be nothing.
I'm going to see if if the devil is actually present circulating in your bloodstream.
There's never anything. That's the problem.
Arjun, I get this. How do you pronounce your name?
Oh, it's pronounced Arjun.
Arjun, what's going
on? My question is, do you see further, what are your thoughts on further mutations possibly coming up in the wintertime that could get through our current vaccines?
It's going to happen, right? I mean, it's inevitable pretty much. And that's just like we have the endemic flu that comes in waves and gets through the vaccines to certain degrees. The key phenomena, the key thing we're going to be relying on going forward is going to be treatments. And
I think I've heard you say on After Dark that you think this is just going to become a lot more like the flu.
It's in the best of all possible worlds. Let's hope it gets like that. But
just get a vaccine once a year, right?
Well, aren't
they going to kind of mix it with the flu shot or something?
There was talk of that at one point, but just get the vaccine. This vaccine's got problems.
They need a better one.
We were essentially in sort of wartime posture when we rolled out the vaccine. This is what people don't seem to understand. They're like, this vaccine is terrible.
Right. It was an emergency thing to keep everybody alive.
Who has COVID now, right? Is that right, Susan?
Yeah, he had it. He said he's over it.
He's over it already. So I was telling him, I go, look, we are accepting a certain amount of risk because this was sort of a wartime mentality. It was Project Warp Speed. It was, get it out, get it going. Now, as we go into endemicity, meaning we have to live alongside of this thing, usually they kind of burn down. They learn a way to coexist with humanity or inject themselves into the genome or something. So the expectation is eventually they're going to kind of
this guy building down. Over there? What are you doing on the other end of that line? It sounds like you're
locomotive engine.
Oh, sorry, I'm walking around in my backyard. Okay. And then I'm entering my 20s next month. Do you think I should be prepared to be getting a vaccine once a year, or should I?
These are personal decisions. Have you had COVID?
I came into contact with COVID very recently, and it was my first time in the 2 years knowingly coming into contact with it, and I had no effects. That's after my third shot.
So either lucky, asymptomatic,
He's 20.
Or one of these people that just don't get it. Whether you get the vaccine, again, make that decision with your doctor. It's not an easy decision. You have, you're fully vaxxed, you're young.
I mean, if you didn't have any reaction to it, too.
I tend to get a little sort of pragmatic because I know you're going to have trouble moving about without the vaccine eventually.
Yeah, we can't.
And so these mandates.
It's all this virtue signaling and stuff.
Well, it's not virtue signaling. It's not. It's the mandates.
It's just that we're all like, oh, am I supposed to get it? Okay, should I be running out and doing this? And I'd get it again. I'm going to get it before we go on our vacation just because why not, It didn't bother me. I have to get a shingle shot. That
will
sounds
bother you.
Worse.
It is worse. It will bother you.
And that's worth it, I guess, but I haven't done it yet.
As time goes on, I'm seeing more and more problematic side effects from the vaccine that I don't want to have. I don't want to see you get.
What, myocarditis?
No, I mean,
you
the
don't want me to
myocarditis,
POTS and hit my head in the middle of the night.
That's
and
more POTS
die?
syndrome. POTS syndrome, which I've seen quite a bit of, but more sort of long COVID type stuff. I've seen really weird long
that's
COVID
true.
symptoms.
That's true. Well, maybe after time they'll do more work on the vaccine, and then it'll be safer for everybody. you
Well,
know?
so it is also confusing because people are asking, shall I get the more Omicron specific? Will it cover the BA4 and BA5? Is it adequate? Do we just get the regular booster, or do we wait for these other boosters that are coming, Novavax?
Who do we need to
Covaxin?
interview next for this situation?
Monica Gandhi.
Get her back.
Yeah, we should probably get Monica Gandhi back to review.
Wish I had her today.
Why? Oh, because we don't have Tyrus
Oh,
yet?
Tyrus is hung up in court with his wife. His wife's got a court problem.
Oh.
And he said it was going along. And he told me at 1:21, and I didn't see the email. So he didn't just go high and dry. I didn't see the email. So,
Okay.
because, I was running around. So I told him if he wants to pop in at the end of the show, he can. But
Okay.
I hate to tell everybody the bad news.
All right, bad news, but we have calls, so it's no problem. It's not that
We
bad
have
news.
good news. We get more time for callers.
That's right. So if I am confusing you further with what I've been saying, I'm not surprised because the landscape is kind of confusing right now, which is why, again, I keep referring people back to that primary unit of the patient and the doctor making the decisions together on behalf of that given individual, given currently available wisdom. All right, let's talk to Frankie. Frankie's coming up in May. For those
Hello, Dr. Drew.
Frankie, what's up?
Not much. So here's where I'm really confused. Okay. I was diagnosed in 2018 with progressive relapsing MS. Okay.
Okay.
And I was told very specifically that I was to not get flu shots because of the immune deficiency.
Okay.
But I do the every 6 month Ocrevus infusion for the MS.
Okay.
So during the pandemic, during the high peak of the pandemic, I was instructed to get the vaccine in order to get my infusion treatment. And I was reluctant. I really did not feel comfortable getting the vaccine because of what was told to me about not getting flu shots. But so I was kind of put in a double-edged sword situation. So I went ahead and I got the vaccines.
So this I think I can straighten out for you.
Sure.
A lot of the flu vaccines are live attenuated, right? So there's actual virus, and if your immune system isn't functioning right, you can really get the flu. And the mRNA vaccine for COVID is just an mRNA strip. It does not really affect it by any immune deficiency.
So it wasn't in any way in the same realm as a flu shot.
Correct.
Okay.
And I think I have to look this up, but I think there are ways to take the flu shot that are not live attenuated. Let me see. Yeah. Let's see. The can live attenuated. That's right. That's the intranasal one. Let me see here. Let's see. So it's really, there's some of them that are not live attenuated, I believe.
I was told that by one of my doctors. Maybe it's different. Maybe you're talking about something different, but I was told that because of the medication I was on for Crohn's disease, I would have to get a flu shot that wasn't the live virus somehow.
Right. Same thing. The same thing that Frankie was told. And I'm getting confused about which ones are live and which ones aren't. So the important thing is you do the research, check it out. It's looking like the intranasal one is the live attenuated, and other ones may be not. I'm getting confused myself. So I'd have to sit down and read about it for a second. But I think that's what you're running into is this differentiation between the kinds of immunizations that are out there. Again, people are less hung up, it seems like these days, on what you call a vaccine and what you don't. It's not a vaccine, it's a therapeutic. Look, from my perspective, I've always considered a vaccine. Vaccine therapy was originally designed from cowpoxes, right? You took the cowpox and you injected it in people, generates an immune response. So anything that generates an immune response to protect against a specified pathogen, that's a vaccination. People might call it an immunization, they might call it, they have other names for it, but ultimately that's not split hairs. It's a vaccine. Dr. Malone, I had Dr. Malone on Sylar. Didn't we have Dr. Malone on, Susan? Did we have him on one time? Oh yeah. So we've had most of the troublemakers on at one time or another because I wanted to hear what they have to say. And they're very smart guys, and they're very good guys. And some of the stuff they have points, and I agreed with, and some of it seemed a little far out, but we'll see. Time will tell. So there you go. This is written. Written. Go ahead. We didn't have Malone on. We had McCullough. We did not have Malone on. Now I think about it. Written, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How you doing, Dr. Drew?
What's the written thing all about?
What's her last name?
No, it's not my last name.
I thought it was.
It's a nickname. My brothers and sisters couldn't make a K sound when they were little, so they called me Britton instead of Kristen, and it's stuck.
Got it.
It's even on my license plate.
What's happening?
So, I have COVID.
Right now?
No.
Nice.
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
I got vaccinated. I felt like garbage for about a day and a half, and I feel fine now.
Okay.
I'm just, masking. But my question is COVID related. So I wanted to know if you have heard any updates in the field of fighting and or treating Lyme disease, because here in the Midwest during the summertime, that's always a very scary, panicky thing.
Yeah. So we have good treatments for Lyme. The problem is getting going early, right? And then if you get far advanced Lyme, it's not clear there are treatments. So, at least in terms of treating the underlying pathogen with antibiotics, it's more treating the residual immune effects that the Lyme leaves behind, which is a whole, that's a very complicated field.
Yeah, that's what my pediatrician was speaking to me about last summer. My son I found a tick on my son, which was probably one of the grossest things in child rearing that I've ever discovered.
Nice.
Afterwards, they, gave him some antibiotics.
Good. See, that's my thing. I always wonder why they don't give antibiotics more quickly with a tick bite. Some people will take the more conservative position is let's just watch, see if he did. The rash from the tick bite is called erythema chronica migrans, or erythema migrans chronicum, something like that. And they wait for the rash. My thing is, why wait? Just get the antibiotics are so simple. Essentially, tetracycline. Just get it going.
Yeah, I got him in the next day, and then I had to save the gross tick and put it in my freezer.
Nice.
So that if he shows symptoms later on, they could actually test the dead tick. So that's gross too.
That's the way to deal with this, though. I mean, that you're asking about, new ways. That is proper management. And there are different ticks, right, that carry different things. This is, I believe, the Ixodes tick. But there is dermacenter ticks, Dermacenter americanus, which are hard ticks. And if you pick them up and drop them on the table, they make a click. And Dermacenter americanus carries Rocky-Mounted spotted fever, which is quite endemic. And again, why aren't we worrying about that as opposed to monkeypox? I've seen plenty of Rocky-Mounted spotted fever. I've seen plenty of murine typhus. Way sicker than monkeypox. Way sicker. Yeah. Why aren't we freaking out about that? The rats are the vector and the rat fleas, and we're doing nothing to control the rat population. In fact, in California, we're doing everything possible to make it impossible to control them. So, let's worry about monkeypox in the meantime.
I get to worry about rats and everything else too. Super.
Good times. Good times.
Oh, yeah. The glamour never stops. Thank you so much.
So your kids are good?
Yeah, they're great. None of them have COVID, but Dad and I have it. Again, life being unfair. But whatever. Everybody's great.
Well, here's the thing that I want everyone to, this is the part I find a little frustrating, is we talk about the endemicity of this illness, right? It's going to be endemic. We actually hope for it to be endemic. So we want it to be. That means everybody gets it eventually. So get used to that idea. And now, good. You've got natural immunity, hybrid immunity, I imagine. And that will keep you covered for a while.
I think so. The only part that stinks is because they have members of the family who tested positive for COVID. Like they're not allowed to go to summer camps and all that stuff because of worries about transmission. So they're a little bummed, but they'll get over it. We'll find something else to do.
All right. Talk soon. Let's see here. Joshua, let's get you up here. We got more calls to go. Still going. Go ahead.
Dr. Drew.
Hey.
So I wanted to talk about narcissism again.
Imagine that.
Yeah, I feel like it's I feel like it's still very interesting in our culture.
Yes, it is.
And I know you've written a book on celebrity narcissism, and I know Adam likes to talk about it a lot, Adam Carolla. And I feel like it still needs to be talked about. I think there needs to be a show on narcissism or something like that. Like there needs to be something that can focus on it primarily, because I think we can put in all of what we're experiencing in that category. I'm not saying that we're all narcissistic. I'm just saying that I feel like it's something that really accounts for a lot of our mental pain, even just anxiety and depression.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure.
And so,
and our relationship problems and our family problems, and then the traumatization of the kids, and it all leads there. Yeah.
Everything. And so my thoughts on it today
Real
are
Housewives.
like,
someone says something very funny. Lima the Will says, and Real Housewives. It leads to Real Housewives. It's true. It's very true. But go ahead, finish your thought.
Well, it's sort of like we're using social media to promote our narcissistic selves in a way.
Oh yeah. And if you read Dave McCraney's stuff, his point is that we put these opinions into these buckets, and no one addresses some of the cognitive distortions. Normally humans are at their best when they're challenging one another's arguments or positions. There's Dave McCraney's book, How Minds Change. And he said that thus far on social media, one of the big problems is there's none of that back and forth. There's just boom. There's just this silos. And so opinions get more out there, more less real, less accurate. You're right.
Yeah, and I think that the trouble there, the roadblock, obviously with the narcissist, is no one's going to love the narcissist more than himself, but also no one's going to hate the narcissist more than himself. Yep. And we never forget that there's hate directed at the self for the narcissist as well.
Correct.
And this is a very dark place for the narcissist.
Oh yeah, and they have trouble even accessing it. It's so painful for them. But I will say, this is the one thing I kept pointing out about Amber Heard, which is, yes, Amber Heard and Johnny Depp did us a service. They did us what do you call it? Did us a favor in any event. They told us, they showed us, first of all, what people with certain kinds of pathologies get into, how messy it is, how much it is not all one way or all the other. It's a very messy back and forth, and how people distort things. Johnny Depp's distorting because he's loaded or in withdrawal. Amber Heard distorting because she has diagnosed personality disorder, and that borderline and histrionic disorder necessarily is associated with distortions of experience. She will have, I'll pick up this bobblehead, and she'll go, "Why did you throw that bobblehead against the wall? I saw you do that." And believe it, not lying, believe it, and then lay it down as a memory that is even often more amplified in a sort of victim posture, because that's what borderline is feeling. But although borderlines project out, and so do narcissists, all this misery that people are raining down on one another right now is 100% projection and projective identification. And oftentimes the very thing they're accusing other people of is the very thing they do themselves. However, the individual who's engaged in all that projection and who makes other people feel misery is even more miserable. That's the thing that I want people to understand. Amber Heard is miserable and is worthy of our compassion. And that misery, and then the self-hate and the loathing and the shame they feel as they see themselves engaging in the same behaviors that they called out, so-called, in another person. It's a bad dynamic. It's not a good way to go forward. We have to come back from this. The one, I was talking to Megan Daum today, who has a new podcast. Caleb, help me with Megan Daum's. She has the Unspeakable podcast, and she has a new one, like something, The Steps of Hell or something is the new podcast. But anyway, I was telling her that, one of the pieces of good news is that cluster B personalities, borderline, narcissist, histrionic, sociopath, particularly borderline, get better in the 4th and 5th decade of life, 40s, 50s. The symptoms, the reality starts to come in, and people start to get better regulated, able to manage their emotions and hostility more. So there may be a natural improvement in some of this stuff, and reality itself has a way of creeping in. So here's the deal. We got to take a little break for... A Special Place in Hell. That's it. The Special Place in Hell is Megan Dom's new podcast. So we're going to take a little break here for our friends at Genucel. I was at dinner last night and we were talking about how much we like Genucel. And I told Susan, I go, it's the only moisturizing cream I can use that doesn't make me break out. And what did you say?
You should tell everybody that.
I couldn't believe I hadn't. I kept saying.
Yeah, it does not exist in the world, but
Yeah.
they happen to have a product that Drew can use.
Yeah. Well, the under the bag one, the under the bags on the egg, we both like that one. But
I
the
like
actual moisture.
Oops.
Whoops.
Oh, that's my phone. Sorry.
Okay. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
I was listening on my phone in the other room.
good.
No, and I like the products too. I have like a little scar under my eye, and I've been using the whitening gel, and it's really been helping.
Great. So,
And then all the other stuff really goes well together. I like it.
so do support the people who support us here. We'll hear a little bit about it right now. I think we have found the holy grail of skincare. Genucel has absolutely changed, certainly my skincare regimen. I like that vitamin C serum, the under eye creams, skin nourishing primer. Susan loves the eyelash enhancers, uses it on her eyebrows as well. Genucel has everything to make us both feel and look amazing. Best part, the quality of the products. Using pure ingredients like antioxidants, copper peptides, and a proprietary calendula flower base, Genucel knows how to formulate products to perfection without irritation. For Susan, she hates that annoying dry area under her nose during allergy season, like right here. She's tried everything, but no matter what, the skin is flaky and dry. Nothing seemed to help until she started using Genucel's Silky Smooth XV Moisturizer. It soaked right into the skin. She was hooked after one use and now loves all of their products as well. Every single product is developed by a pharmacist, making sure that all the ingredients are safe and effective. Right now, you can try Genucel's most popular collection of products and see what I'm talking about for yourself. Go to Genucel.com and enter code DREW for 10% off. That is GENUCEL.com, and the code is DREW. All right.
Hey, Drew, do you get those little dry patches around your nose like I do?
I do not, but why don't you tell them about that
I
particular
don't
thing that
know.
bothers you?
I don't know
so
why I
crazy?
get that. I don't know.
Well, you've been using the Genucel stuff to improve it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they also have a retinol cream that I use. I really like that one too.
Good.
And then they have all the eye treatments I really like. And then the red, it's the red cream, right?
That's the one I like. Yeah,
that's
the
the one you like.
Chamonix, I think.
Oh,
something
yeah,
like
that
Help
stuff
me,
works.
Caleb.
Chamonix.
Yeah.
Oh, that works. Yeah, the
Yeah, and you have
anti-redness.
pretty red skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all natural. It goes on really well under your makeup. It's a good value. I mean, I use pretty expensive stuff. I go to the dermatologist and buy stuff, but I'm pretty convinced that this is the same type of product, but also, healthy.
So people
and
were
it's a good deal.
People
I
were just
mean,
trying to figure out what came out of my ears. These are just headphones, everybody. They couldn't. They just
an
pulled them
alien
out.
just came out of your
Just
ears.
pulled them out for a second. Just
So they
give
have
out
a
your break.
package you can get that's normally like $500. It's $169. You save
Okay.
66%. So head on over, use the code Dr. Drew, and you'll get an additional 10% off or something, right, Caleb?
Yep, that's correct. Yeah, go to Genucel.com/Drew and just use the code Drew for 10% off.
You know what? You don't need the Drew. You can just, you can do that too. But yeah, so
Right.
check it out, everybody. Help us, keep this boat afloat.
This pirate ship a going. This is and keep Susan and Caleb employed. This is Will Rhea.
Will Ryan.
Will
and,
Ryan.
First of all, thank you. First of all, thank you so much. I actually made some lifestyle changes because I've been listening to After Dark because of you.
Great.
Specifically quitting smoking and stuff.
Good
But
for you, man.
Thank you so much. Long time listener. Anyway, I have a couple questions that are a little nuts and bolts, but it's actually really specific. Doctors I've seen have been dismissive of what I would say are my own health concerns.
Okay.
And they come because when you come in for the first time after looking into your own health, right? I quit smoking, my anxiety's high, I have bad shoulder, swollen lymph nodes, all that kind of stuff. I had them run some blood work on me, and I don't handle needles very well.
Okay.
So I've been bruising pretty aggressively here from where they took it. And then when they sent over my results, they told me everything is fine. But then when I read it, I have out of range.
Well, let's go over it. Let's go over it.
Okay, it's actually specifically I'm at 0.6 out of range, at like 8.7 for my protein and 0.5 over for my albumin.
Yeah.
And
don't
I don't know
worry.
what they
For a
define as.
young person, those tend to kind of run a little high. So that again, the normal range is for all ages. So to be a little bit high is not a big deal. You might even be a little bit dehydrated, but probably not. So a tiny bit high is no big deal.
With the dehydration thing, actually, so before that, I had juice and had pretty severe, like cold pressed juice. I don't really drink it that often, but I was worried about my health, trying to get some extra vitamins in me.
Good.
Had pretty aggressive diarrhea in the doctor's office there before and during that blood work and stuff.
Okay.
That being said, I hadn't eaten. Yeah, exactly. That being said, though, would drinking something like that, not having eaten, would that bring my protein levels down that they were tracking? Like because I'm really prone to like looking stuff up online, given that my uncle's a doctor, I like to just ask him questions.
Yeah, of course. I'm not sure. The only thing you really have to concern yourself with is the total protein minus the albumin, right? The amount above the albumin, you can kind of focus on that, but that's going to be okay too, I'm sure. None of that, albumin and protein levels, total protein, not something we really concern ourselves with young people unless it's way out of line.
Okay, so like 3 over or 3.5 over, is that something that I should? Because again, they just
I'm not sure what units you're using. I came in with
just a bunch of stuff.
I understand. What units you're using? What?
I want to say it's G/DL and it's H on the ends of both of these numbers.
And what's the normal range and what they gave you?
6.1 to 8.1 for the protein and 3.6 to 5.1 for the albumin. Okay. And the albumin is 5.6 and the protein is 8.7.
Okay. Yeah, that is I think that's more I would just recheck it, probably hydration, something like that. I really, it doesn't speak of anything in particular.
Okay.
I would just repeat it in 4 months, something like that. Just make sure it's not, the only thing there's other stuff that can get in there with the ratio of the total protein to the albumin, but you're normal there. You're normal. So,
okay.
What else?
Thank you so much.
That's it? That's all you had? That's the only thing?
Well, because of the fatigue and everything else, and they ran everything for me at once. I hadn't been to the doctor in about 8 years at this point. So
How old are you?
Came in with that long list.
How old are you?
It was 27.
And do you actually have lymph nodes? Could the doctor find the lymph nodes?
Yep. They could feel them in my throat and under my jaw and on my neck.
And and you're very, very fatigued?
I mean, I would say so. I usually drink coffee a fair amount too, and keep myself up. But again, I'm prone to sleeping for a long time or feeling pretty tired.
And is that something new for you?
Not particularly, no. But I mean, I would say I would see probably an increase in the last year or so.
So here's what I always worry about. My bet is they sort of pushed you off as, you're anxious, don't worry, blah blah blah. That's the worst thing a doctor can do is miss something that's really there and attribute everything to anxiety. I mean, did they give you at least a follow-up to come back very soon?
Actually, no. I'm moving to Arizona because I just got into university out there, and that's kind of why I'm so concerned, because I'm making a big investment in my tuition, going out of state, getting into the engineering program out there. It's going to be really expensive. I don't want to have to start treatment for multiple myeloma, which is what I saw online.
You don't have myeloma. You don't have myeloma. Okay, you don't have that. And I understand why you freaked out. You're reading about serum proteins, but that's not what this is. I imagine, did you get a CBC?
Yes.
And that was normal?
Yep.
Okay.
That's why they were dismissive of it. That's what they told me initially?
Well, there can be weird shit. I mean, you can get Lyme disease. You can have a kind of there are weird infectious diseases that can cause fatigue and swollen glands. And at least you ought to be watched by someone. And if you are anxious, all the more reason you should be watched until you can be fully reassured and feel like you're in proper care and not spinning on your own. So I would. Where do you get your doctor from? How'd you find a doctor?
It's actually a cash clinic that I had found. My mother had kind of put me in contact with because she was going to, because I'm in between health insurances because of my age and then switching university and college. I haven't gotten set up with the ASU stuff.
All right, get set up at ASU and get proper care. I mean, get it going, and let somebody follow those lymph nodes, follow your fatigue, and make sure it's nothing. Okay.
Okay. Thank you again, Dr. Drew.
Okay. Yeah. Even if it is anxiety, you need to be reassured of what's going on here. I don't like that. I don't like when people are just sort of put off that way. But again, he went to a cash clinic, and so it was probably minimal care kind of thing. Timothy, what's going on? Unmute yourself. Timothy, there's a microphone in the lower left-hand corner of your screen.
There's a little lag, so they have to figure it out.
Yeah,
Hello,
there
can you hear me?
I do. What's happening? Hey, Timothy.
Hey, man, I've been trying to get a hold of you. I love your show. Like, I was like at the beginning of COVID in 2020, I was about ready to jump off the bridge because I was so freaked out by watching CNN.
Yep.
But anyway, you talked me off. You helped get me. You know,
that was our goal. That was our goal, is to collectively get in here and make sense of stuff and stop with the craziness. My God, was that crazy?
Yes, but okay, so like I didn't get the vaccine, and because my mom's an anti-vaxxer, I live with her. I'm 37 years old. I'm like a fit dude, you know, like I weigh 176, but I got COVID because I work at a grocery store, a very popular one, by the way. I got COVID June 6th.
Okay.
And I was hit with I thought I had food poisoning. I was throwing up for like all night on June 6th, like violently, like projectile.
Yeah.
And then I thought it was food poisoning, but then my symptoms weren't going away. You know, like I was having like lots of aches and pains, extreme fatigue. And now
COVID.
I'm on week 3 of this. And I had a really, 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 really bad anxiety disorder before this, undiagnosed, untreated. And now that I'm 3 weeks into this virus and I'm waking up with extreme fatigue and like very slow breathing. I've been to the doctor many times and they say your lungs are clear, your lungs are fine, you know.
Good.
But it's just the symptoms, man. They won't go away. And like, I just wake up in misery every day.
So there are options. There are 3 things to kind of think about. One is fluvoxamine helped me. And Steve Kirsch had some good studies that showed it can help people. So fluvoxamine is something that is out there. I've given it to people where they've had no effect, and I've given it to people where they've had good effect. So it's not a panacea, but fluvoxamine is an option for these longer haul type symptoms.
How can I get the hold of that, and how much does it cost?
It's very cheap. It's dollars.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an old medicine. It's a generic available. I would talk to your doctor and see if you can convince him or her that this is something you'd like to try. It's 50 milligrams or 100 milligrams twice a day. That's all you got to do. So the other thing is some people are using Paxlovid, which is the antiviral. In obviously earlier, probably wouldn't have used it in your case, but sometimes when things lag on, they will try Paxlovid. And the other thing is to get onto the website covidlonghaulers.com.
I already signed up, and they wanted money from me for tests. They wanted like $300 or something like that.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Was there any guidance other than that? Was there any way to get any sort of anything?
I couldn't figure it out. I mean, this is the first time I figured out how to get on your show and be able to talk to you. You know, thank God. It's really good to talk to you, man. Like I feel like my whole family thinks that this is all anxiety. And I've been to the emergency room like 3 times. I've been to my primary care doctor 3 times. And like somebody at the emergency room for my anxiety, because I have such crazy anxiety, prescribed me lorazepam.
Yeah.
0.5 milligrams, but I'm scared to take it with COVID because I'm worried it's going to slow my breathing down or something when I'm sleeping, and I'm going to like.
Yeah, I get it. That's really not going to happen. Your body will push through that, but I mean, it really is a very short-term solution. How many pills did they give you?
They gave me 2.5 milligrams, and my whole family is trying to get me to take it to calm the hell down.
Yeah,
you know,
I get that you have anxiety and you have COVID symptoms. You can have both. It's possible to have both, dude. And so the fact that they're putting it all on anxiety seems wrong-headed to me. Because everything you're describing is so sort of typical of how the COVID goes. And yes, people are on Restream. The lorazepam is Ativan. Yes, that's what that is. So
and like I'm having like my inside, like every time I eat, my symptoms come on. Every time I rest and sleep, and I wake up, my symptoms are there. Like yesterday, I had to go home from work. I was on my second day back to work, and I woke up, ate breakfast, really healthy breakfast, like oatmeal, 2 eggs, some potatoes. Went to work, you know, I felt shitty, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I had to eat at work because I work at a grocery store and they work me into the ground.
Yeah.
And I ate like just a really healthy fish with ratatouille and wild rice. And like there was some rich sauces in there and acidity stuff. And that just, I started having burning pains all in my stomach and like extreme heartburn. I've been taking Pepsid AC because it seems to calm it down. But anytime, and I'm about to go pick up Prilosec and
Gotta
Bentyl.
cut those spices out.
Yeah,
No
the
spices.
Prilosec will cut this all off. So your doctor gave you Prilosec, right? Or are you going to go get it from
Yeah,
over the counter?
Drew has the same
I'm about
problem.
to go get it from Walgreens. Yeah, I'm about to go get it from Walgreens, and I have Bentyl too, a prescription for Bentyl for my abdominal cramps because yesterday I went to the ER. I drove myself to the ER with extreme stomach pains, like burning, and my insides were just a mess. And I got a CT scan, you know, and they didn't see anything, you know.
Do you take any aspirin or Advil or any of those sorts of medicines?
I took a ibuprofen for my inflammation, and it made my body numb. I'm also a recovering alcoholic. I quit in 2012.
Isn't ibuprofen bad for your stomach?
Yes. So I want to point out that the ibuprofen and
Unless you have
aspirin
a
may have been what
great
triggered
stomach.
all this stuff. But
Well, I only took ibuprofen one pill one time, and I didn't like it. It made me feel sick, and then I took 2 Tylenol. And is Tylenol bad too?
No, Tylenol's fine. Advil not great for alcoholics, but not forbidden. It's just you don't take it for very long. And goodness gracious, I don't think anybody's getting at your. I mean, part of the problem is there's not a lot to be done for long COVID, but I you know,
Do you think I'm going to make it? I lost 17.
Oh no,
I
you're going to
lost
make
17.
it. You're going to make it.
I lost
You're going to get better, Timothy. You're going to get better.
I lost 17 pounds.
I hear you. You're going to get better. The question is
I
how
want
much.
to go on
How
that
much?
diet.
The question is how much misery until you get there. You're going to get better. So the other thing is it's good that you're going to work. It's good that you got to really keep exercising. That's a very important part of what you need to do.
Moving.
So keep moving. Keep
Cut out
exercising.
You don't think I'm going to have a stroke?
No, you're not going to have a stroke. You're not going to have a stroke.
Hey, Drew, how'd you do after eating garlic last night at dinner?
Good.
It was nothing, right?
No, not nothing.
Drew has the same problem. He can't eat anything with spice. He can eat, you know, salt and pepper and
sometimes I can't.
I can't use garlic. I can't use, you know, you have to look at your diet and cut out like anything that will irritate your stomach, you know?
Yeah, but then I feel like I have no energy because I feel like I'm eating rabbit food, you know?
No, you got to eat. You got to eat. You got to eat.
Yeah, but the spices are not going to, that doesn't make any difference.
So the way I would approach this.
No Thai food, no Mexican food, no, you know, just eat like steak and potatoes.
If we were working together, yes, I'd really focus on systematic exercise, better nutrition. We would try fluvoxamine, and if that failed literally in a few days, I would probably try Paxlovid. So that would be sort of how I would approach things and give it talk to your doctor about it. Yeah, do you have a doctor? Do you have somebody you can actually talk to?
When did he have
Yeah,
COVID?
but she's really hard. I've seen her twice, but she's really hard to get a hold of, and she's always busy, and she takes weeks. Oh, another thing is my first 20 days of having COVID, I only managed to sleep like 2 to 4 hours a night. So I was out of my mind, like anxiety. I was driving my family crazy. I was driving my family.
It's sorry for laughing, but because you were afraid it was going to kill you or something. What was the anxiety from?
Yeah, well, because I didn't want to go to sleep because I would wake up and my insides would feel like just disgusting. Like my lungs were really slow to breathe and achy, and like my digestives was all achy, and I was crippled fatigue, like crippling.
Yeah, I know.
And I didn't want. So I decided I didn't want. I was scared to go to sleep because I didn't want to wake up and feel like that because it would take me so long to get going.
Yeah.
Every day, you know.
The pain is one of the pain and the fatigue are two absolute characteristics of COVID. So, all right.
I hope you feel better.
Have you seen a gastroenterologist? Has anybody sent you to a specialist?
No, I just had a CT scan yesterday where they plugged an IV in the dye.
You don't go to urgent care or ERs. That's not where you get systematic, thoughtful through-line care.
You gotta go to an internist.
Yeah, you got to go to an internist and then to get the subspecialty care with the gastroenterologist. You really need somebody to be, same thing I was telling the other guy, somebody to look after you. Somebody to, this is not good healthcare. You need somebody to pay attention, be thinking about these things, and systematically taking you through some sort of workup and treatment. Okay, you're going to be fine, but in the meantime, this misery is sort of not acceptable.
It's not easy to find, Drew.
But when I don't eat the acidic foods like pizza and just normal food that I would normally eat, like my respiratory symptoms seem to go away, but my stomach issues come back. And then, but when I eat healthy, when I eat like cans of unsalted tuna, low sodium stuff, oatmeal and stuff like that, then my respiratory symptoms come back. So it's like,
but don't worry. Don't worry about your lungs. They're clear. You're speaking clearly in full sentences without having any air hunger. You're able to work hard at work. Don't worry about your lungs. The problem is the fatigue. The problem is the
I can see this
GI.
guy taking Paxlovid though and getting that metal taste in his mouth.
He might.
My mom wanted me to take ivermectin because.
Yeah, I know. And then there's a case to be made maybe for monoclonal antibodies.
Maybe he should talk to Yo.
That's what I would like him to do, but he.
Oh
already,
God!
He
I'm in the Bay Area.
He already went over there.
Well, he's in Newark.
Why don't you?
I'm in Santa Clara.
He has a website called COVID.
No, he was there, but they want him to pay to get on. That's the problem.
Oh yeah, it costs money.
Yeah, he doesn't. Have the money.
I can't say it's free.
I'm a grocery store worker. I got car payments and stuff.
No, I got it.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Oh, Timothy, I hate these stories because it's just a symptom of just bad health care more than anything. If somebody was holding you and watching you, you'd feel less out of control.
Not everybody is studying COVID-19 recovery techniques. Like you go to your doctor, they're doing a lot of different kind of medicines.
You're right.
It's so new.
You're right.
Another crazy thing is I was violently throwing up in the room across from my older brother where he lives because he lives next door to me, and he didn't get sick. He didn't get COVID. Okay. My mom didn't get COVID. And how does that work? I was around both of them, very sick.
Nobody. I got COVID. I got alpha, the original COVID back a year and a half ago, and gave it to everyone was around me. I had drinks with Adam Carolla the night I got sick, and no, nothing. Nobody got sick except one of my sons. One of my sons got it, and nobody else did. I was around everybody.
It's so weird, man.
A friend of mine got active COVID on a long plane flight last week, and she didn't give it to anybody. So it's hard to know. Listen, Tim, I got to move on, but I hate
to hear the desperation in his voice.
I know
Is there a way I can like re-listen to this episode so I can listen to everything, all the advice you told me?
Yes.
Because I really
Caleb,
yes. You can find it at the link at drdrew.tv.
Is that where the link is, Caleb?
Yes, yeah. If you just go to drdrew.tv, it'll be there. You'll see it'll be the date of today's show. You can see this also on Drew's YouTube channel.
It has a banner of Tyrus on it. Are we going to change that banner? Okay, it's just going to say Ask Dr. Drew, and it'll be on. He'll have. Is that when the? Or you can like go to YouTube, find the latest YouTube episode, as well as you could do Twitch. I don't know if you do Twitch, but
and
or Facebook.
Here's the deal: you can call us back. Unfortunately, we're sort of going to be on a little hiatus, but we'll be back next week. And just call us back, and you can send any questions over to Susan she'll see the email at contact@drdrew.com. Contact@drdrew.com. And Susan,
maybe you should have fluvoxamine.
That's what I told him.
He sounds a little anxious. Maybe that'll help if he has like an OCD thing going on too.
Absolutely might help more than just his COVID. That's exactly correct.
That's a Steve Kirsch remedy.
And I did tell him that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. And we talked about taking 50 milligrams twice a day or 100 twice a day. And but
he's got to get a doctor to prescribe it.
Yeah, don't give up hope on that. I had to go through 5 or 6 different doctors before I found the amazing doctor that would take our call at 2 a.m. at his home line and save my life by making me go to the hospital when I was in denial. So it takes a bit of time, but when you find them, do not lose your best doctor once you find that person.
So maybe he should look on the back of his insurance card and find a doctor.
He should give his doctor one more shot to see if she responds and give her a chance.
Yeah, it's hard.
And if she's not responsive, then yes, you have to see somebody else. And Susan, they're calling for you over at Rumble in the chat. They're wondering why you're not there.
I'm watching you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, I
have a quick question.
Yeah.
So those free COVID tests that people were able to get from covid.gov, are those still reporting accurate results even with all the new variants and everything?
As far as I know, I've not seen any abnormality with that, any problem with that. Sure.
Okay, good. We've been feeling a little sick the past few days, and so we did a COVID test 2 days ago, and it came back negative. There was not even a slight bit of a line on it. So
you have to wait 3 days though to find out.
Yeah, it can 3 to 5 days before you convert many times.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, don't take it the first 2
again.
days. It's a waste of a test.
Omicron has been weird. It's been sort of all over the place with when people convert. I had Omicron. I never had a positive test, but I gave it to everybody.
Yeah, so we got it. We got it at the Dave Navarro thing, and then Shelly got it. Drew got it. Well, he got sick. Remember, we got that like laryngitis, and he was coughing, couldn't talk, and he's like, "Oh, I don't have it," and he kept taking tests, and he did it like the first 2 days. He didn't do it the third day.
No, I did it like the fourth and fifth day. I did several tests. I did a bunch of tests, and
then,
it just kept.
And then we were going to New York, and my kids wanted to have steak dinner with us, and it was waiting at that. And they waited for us. We all sat down at the table, and Drew had a snotty rag in his hand. And he was coughing into his hand, and he gave it to all of us because he didn't know he had it.
That's how I knew I had it. I never had a positive test.
And then I flew to New York with a scratchy throat. I was like, and got to New York, and I had it. I didn't take the test for 3 days though. I waited. I didn't waste the first 2 days worth of tests. So, and it spreads. Except
Paulina, who got it later and gave it to none of us, even after having exposed all of us.
Yeah, but we had it already. We had it.
I understand, but you'd think I think I would at least get a mild something.
No.
You guys have all been boosted up.
Listen, she stayed in her bedroom the whole time. I was the only one delivering food to her.
Yeah.
But I didn't get it because I always wear 2 masks, and I don't know. I don't care if I get it.
One well-fitting N95 is effective.
You know what? I just grabbed whatever was around.
Okay.
But she was in bed for 5 days. She took Paxlovid, and she was better in 5 days. But she was really asleep, and she felt like dogs do. Yeah. So she literally just didn't come out of the room for 5 days, which is no big deal for her because she likes doing that. It was hard for me to sit in a New York apartment for 5 days and wait to get to go out and do something. But it wasn't that big a deal. It was just like a bad
So Leopold, as always, coming up with the challenging questions. Has my opinion changed on travel and COVID? Also, what about Israel high hospitalization, even though they are most anti-vaxxed on the planet? That is one of the question marks right now. There you are. We know that the vaccines presently don't prevent COVID. They don't prevent transmission of COVID. They seem to prevent more serious complications of COVID. The Israel data is challenging that notion, so we don't know for sure. But the one thing I would say is we have good treatments. People should not be hospitalized these days. To me, that means somebody didn't get treatments going soon enough in situations where they should have. So I'm not quite sure what to make of that high hospitalization rate in Israel yet. But I was aware of that, Leopold. And so thank you for bringing up that challenging issue. Let's see. Got 3. And regarding air travel and COVID, like I said, I had a friend on a 10-hour flight who got active COVID and gave it to no one. And the airplane seems to be one of the safest places you can be. The airport may not be as safe as the plane. So if people want to protect themselves,
but you could have COVID and not be shedding a virus because it doesn't even show up on a test.
No, severe COVID like that is you're going to have it.
You're going to have it, yeah.
But
I'm assuming she'll wear a mask.
Masks were required on that plane, but masks don't protect other people. I cannot say that strong. No.
I thought they do.
They protect you.
Oh
my God, Susan, you've heard me say this 1,000 times. So I'm going to
say
thought it
was the opposite.
So the mask,
I don't really care.
N95 will protect you. When a doctor goes in a room with an infected patient, he or she puts on the mask.
Okay.
We don't put the mask on the patient. We put the mask on ourselves.
Funny. Yeah.
And the mask is well-fitting.
I was watching people in South Pasadena walking around with masks on yesterday in 100-degree weather.
They had paper masks on, which do nothing.
I thought, okay, first of all, who does that in 100-degree weather? And if COVID dies in the heat, right?
The outside, it just doesn't, in circulating air, it just does not transmit. But again, putting that N95 mask on will protect you. But if you take it off to eat or you don't have it on perfectly, it doesn't work. And the paper masks do very little, if nothing. And so this is what we know now.
It's called virtue signaling.
I get confused when they start putting masks on little kids. It just doesn't make sense.
I couldn't believe it. Everybody had a mask on the street.
Corey H., you have early repolarization on EKG. You might need an electrophysiology study. The early repolarization is associated with things like Wolff Parkinson White syndrome. So check that out. And definitely you don't want to get atrial fibrillation when you have a repolarization track, or a bypass track, as we call it. All right, so we got to wrap things up here. We appreciate y'all being here. Sorry that we couldn't get Tyrus wrangled out of the courtroom.
Poor Tyrus.
We will reschedule him.
He's not the one who has a problem.
But I enjoy taking calls from you guys. I really enjoy talking to you.
Situation.
I leave disturbed. I hate that feeling when I can't help somebody who's desperate for help, like Timothy.
I know, he sounded so desperate.
Yeah, and it makes me feel bad.
You know what? I was desperate too the other day, and I really appreciate it because you figure shit out. You get to the bottom of it. Like, I went to bed and I had a backache and I woke up and I had an infection according to your brain. So you were actually right.
You had
and I looked like a genius when I typed out the situation to my doctor, and you were right.
Mesenteric paniculitis with bilateral pleural effusions due to beta hemolytic strep. Craziness. That doesn't happen anymore because people get put on antibiotics.
I can open my jaw again, Drew. So it's good news for everybody.
Don't stop the antibiotics. Finish the antibiotics. Okay?
I can open my mouth and put food in.
Did he say how long to go? Did your doctor?
10 days.
Yeah, 10 days.
Oh, I have to take it. I didn't take it this morning because I was fasting, so I'm going to go take it.
You're supposed to take your medicines even on fasting days.
Well, I didn't know because but I was taking a blood test. I could just have you go, oh, you're not supposed to put anything in your stomach when you get a blood.
Well, I saw you drank coffee with cream also. So
no, I didn't. I made it and then I went, oops, and then I made a black one.
All right, good.
Yeah, I know. I fucked up.
All right.
I went straight for. I totally forgot.
Let's see.
I was tired. It was 6 o'clock in the morning.
I know. Thank you, Tom Cigars. Let's see if there's anything else on the restream. I'm going to go over to Rumble and see what you guys are talking about.
Well, even though Tyrus didn't show up,
concerned about Timothy.
Even though he couldn't make it, I wanted to show this because it's pretty amazing how well his book is doing right now. This is from Publishers Weekly showing that so far it's sold. This is just the reported hardcover copies of his memoir. Last week sold over 24,000 copies. Last week alone.
Wow.
That's a total of over 73,000, like 72,000. And that also means that his book, even though James Patterson's memoir just came out, he's still ranking 2 steps higher in sales than James Patterson, that's wild. That's really amazing.
I've had books, but it is great. But I've had books that sold 70,000, and you still haven't sold through their advance. They really hold you to a very high standard. But they really have to sell.
He's such a great guy. You know what? He wrote it himself too.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
yeah.
So that's what's incredible.
Get the book, Sport Tyrus.
We did a great interview with him the last time he was here, and his mic was all messed up, and the sound was really terrible. So it's not in podcast form, but he tells the story if you can suffer through the sound on our YouTube channel.
Let me address the Rumble people. Rococoro. Doctors only wear a mask to protect themselves when they go into a room with an infectious disease, or when they have a surgical field below them and they don't want their saliva to get out with all the bacteria, not viruses, bacteria in our mouth into the surgical field. Or if there's somebody on something called reverse isolation, where reverse isolation, then we mask everybody because we can't get the patient exposed to anything because they have no immune system. That's reverse isolation. That's different, and doctors do wear a mask in that situation as well. So the idea that doctors wear masks to not infect patients, not true. It depends on, there are many different infection control mechanisms that people use with masking and gloving and gown, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but you know why I like wearing a mask is if I sneeze, because I always have allergies. If people look at me, they don't give me the stink eye.
Right, because your sneeze.
One of the ladies gave me the stink eye walking into a shop that because I didn't have a mask on. She had a mask on. And she just gave me that look like, "Where's your mask?" I'm like, "I'm not wearing a mask." You know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Where was this?
In South Pasadena. We were walking
yeah.
to dinner. I was like, "Oh my god, that was so weird."
I know.
We live in a very
What have
weird
we done to people? What have we done to them? We've turned them into frightened natives.
I mean, I can't wait to go to Austin tomorrow. I don't have to worry about getting the dirty
I like
looks.
that our Rumble crowd is reading the data. I can tell that they're looking at the studies and they're reading these things on their own, and that's good. But you know, people that are wearing masks outdoors are
we love you, Rumble crowd.
Scared natives. Scared natives. I
deep
feel,
thinkers over there.
I feel so bad for those people. I think, what have we done to them? What have we done to people?
I don't know. We made us all pussies.
Oh, watch out, everybody. Susan's loose lips.
It's true. It's me. I can't help it. I can say it. I'm not a doctor.
All right, fair enough. All right, we got to wrap this thing up.
Off to Austin tomorrow. Gonna do Dr.
Yeah.
Drew After Dark. Make
Yep.
sure you catch up on the latest episodes.
Please do check that out.
Go suffer the heat and.
Do they subscribe for that? Is that what
Yes, you can subscribe on Your Mom's House. You can find it on Your Mom's House podcast at YouTube, and you can also subscribe on Spotify and Stitcher, and wherever you get your podcast.
But you can't subscribe on
you
our
can
website.
On Apple.
On our website.
You can find the links to it. Yeah, you can find the links there, but
we need your support. So
just Google Dr.
I
Drew
know there's a
After
lot of
Dark.
mommies out there.
Get the podcast. It's fun.
Yeah,
we
want to keep doing all this stuff, and so we need everyone's support to keep doing it. So we appreciate.
We fly all the way to Austin to do it, so we want you to listen.
Okay, so with that said, we will wrap up. Have we decided if we're coming back on Monday or Tuesday next week? Monday's the holiday, so Tuesday.
Yeah,
we're definitely back on Tuesday. So we'll see you Tuesday, 3:00 Pacific time on the 5th of July. Have a great holiday weekend, everybody. We'll see you then. Ask Dr. Drew is produced by Caleb Nation and Susan Pinsky. As a reminder, the discussions here are not a substitute for medical care, diagnosis, or treatment. This show is intended for educational and informational purposes only. I am a licensed physician, but I am not a replacement for your personal doctor, and I am not practicing medicine here. Always remember that our understanding of medicine and science is constantly evolving. Though my opinion is based on the information that is available to me today, some of the contents of this show could be outdated in the future. Be sure to check with trusted resources in case any of the information has been updated since this was published. If you or someone you know is in immediate danger, don't call me, call 911. If you're feeling hopeless or suicidal, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-8255. You can find more of my recommended organizations and helpful resources at drdrew.com/help. Did you guys know that? And Nadav's into that? He always has talked a little bit about ass play.
It's interesting that he can just volunteer that information for the public. And
he didn't volunteer it. I figured it out. He was sort of suggesting that somebody might get a better orgasm or an orgasm. But that's
Are you guys kink shaming me?
It's what you call a tell, Chad. It's a tell. And no shame.
What is it telling you about?
Why did you hide it from me for so long?
Hide it from you? Do you want to know everything that makes me come?
Maybe on another day.